Well, hello on this Wednesday. This tweet got a lot of attention yesterday from the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks. The flooded Red River is big enough to actually generate a little bit of its own weather, or at least influence the local weather. This is a view from satellite where we can actually pick out the flooded water areas, ice or water, and you can see how much wider the Red River is thanks to that flooding, which is still going up in the northern parts of the Red River. And so what happened basically is it was wide enough to generate its own basically sea breeze. That water was cold, upper 30s to around 40 degrees, but 8 miles wide in some spots, so that when things heated up during the day, a breeze was generated off that cold air sitting over the water and pushed away the clouds. So you don't see that along the Red River, or mostly any river that's not very wide very often. You see that over a bigger lake, like certainly Lake Superior, or even Lake Mille Lacs sometimes. But high pressure kind of exiting the area today. We've got a storm system to the south that's going to brush us with some showers tomorrow into Friday, mainly the southern part of the state. I think the chance of a shower in the Twin Cities is looking slimmer even than what it did yesterday, maybe on Friday, but the trend is undeniably upward in the computer models here. You see they're all pretty much in agreement for the next several days, but then we do see some differences as we head into Sunday and next week. Just how hot will it get is going to be the big question. Will it be 70s, 80s, or yes, even low 90s? Averaging the models together, you get a little bit of a better picture, but you can see, yeah, undeniably a very warm stretch here ahead. Probably at least 1, 2, or maybe even 3 80s, possibly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And yes, some models still give us 90s. In fact, more now. About half the models almost give us 90 degrees plus for our warmest temperature next week. They differ on what day that might happen. This is the warmest possible temperature in all the models next week. One model, though, only 74, but again, a few of them low 90s. We're basically going to have a heat bubble developing. We heard a lot about this over the last summer, a heat dome. Well, that's going to happen on a lesser degree here in terms of space and time, but next week, some undeniably very warm weather, and it's all a matter of how long it will have time to build. That will allow humidity to make its way north and also some heat building in the New Mexico, Texas area. But again, the European and Canadian models giving us 70-degree dew points as well by the middle of next week, which would be very humid for this early in the season. That's not something we normally see till maybe the end of May or June. So we could be talking heat index. Those are also the two models that are the warmest, at least upper 80s, if not low 90s. So heat indices could be well into the 90s across southern Minnesota, and then of course stretching all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. So a taste of summer, it looks like, next week, after what was a very cold April, and the possibility of some storms too, especially if we get that humidity. The Storm Prediction Center right now looking at the southern half of Minnesota, possibly a very early heads up for some weather on Monday. There are a couple of caveats though here with this. Canadian model forecasting cooler temperatures aloft, which would be creating instability as we heat things up. But the European model is significantly warmer, and when you go up 10,000 feet or so, a few degrees Celsius makes a big difference in terms of is the atmosphere capped or not to allow storms to develop. The European model has that cap much further north. These are very warm temperatures in the middle of the atmosphere, so that if air tries to rise, it hits that relatively warm air, can't rise any longer. Canadian model, though, is much less aggressive with the cap, at least yet, on Monday. So again, it's the timing of how fast that heat builds next week is going to affect not just temperatures, but also in terms of instability for severe weather. So those are the things we're kind of watching here for late Sunday into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Meanwhile, gorgeous couple of days here still. Filtered sun through high clouds today. 63 is almost the normal high. A little bit more cloud cover tomorrow as that system brings showers across far southern Minnesota tomorrow. Again, maybe a shower in the Twin Cities. It's going to be a pretty small chance, though. And then a gorgeous Saturday. Look at that. Best Saturday we've had this spring, by far. We've been in the 70s before, but we haven't had dry weather and sunshine along with the 70s. And summery taste next week, 70s, 80s, and yes, even that increasing chance, at least, of a 90 possible next week.